If you've ever opened up DaVinci Resolve and wondered, where do I start with my node graph? What am I doing here? Then you're like me, but this video is going to solve that in less than 20 minutes. You can steal this whole process. Professional cinematographer Nick Pilecki is going to take us through his whole node tree, step by step, of how he colors his footage. And it's going to give you a repeatable process so you know where to start and know where to end. And this is just one of 11 videos in our Cinepath Pro course, which is actually a collection of over 70 videos about cinematography that Nick Pilecki teaches. But more on that later. I'm gonna get out of the way and let pro DP Nick Pilecki teach you all about color correction in Resolve.
Okay, moving on in our color section, I would like to talk about my power grade and kind of go through the node tree structure. So once again, if you're not totally familiar with what a power grade is, think of it as a glorified look or LUT. It actually contains a LUT in it, but it's basically a series of nodes that's kind of my process of how to get the look I like, and it's in progression what builds on top of each other, what you should do before the Rec. 709 LUT, what you should do after. It's just kind of a catch-all look structure, and you're not going to use every node, so you can turn some on, you can turn some off. It's just a great starting point, I find, and I wanted to throw it out there as an option to you on your projects as a possible starting point as well. As we saw last time, you can go to your gallery, which is the top left here, and you can import the power grade. So I'm going to apply it to a clip here. So this here is a shot that I did on a Quaker Oats commercial in Delaney, Northwest Territories. So very north up in Canada. And right out of the box, I love how it looks. So let's go through the node structure here. I just wanted to do a rough overview of what it has here. So as you saw there, if you right click and click clean up node graph, it'll bring everything back to the kind of working nodes window here. But let's go through it. So this scatter is an OFX plugin. I don't have anything in there right now, but that's a plugin we'll get into later that I like. HDR. So the HDR palette is a great tool within Resolve that is color space aware. When I say color space aware, that means that you can cue it for what color space is coming from camera, and you can finite and pick and really get in the weeds with what you're working with. So other things like the primaries and offset are not color space aware, and they usually work in Rec. 709, but this HDR palette, if you go down here to HDR and you click these three dots here, you can go to color space and gamma, and you can actually go to RE log C4 and color space RE wide gamma 4. So now this will work assuming it's based off the log footage out of the camera. And I love the HDR palette because it can target highlights. It's my favorite for correcting global color shifts. So like right now, this clip is looking a little too blue for me. Like I want to make the skin a little more in that yellowy zone. So I would take my global and I would nudge it kind of just like that, a little more yellow. So something like that to me is looking better for skin tone. And if we on off that, you can see I'm just injecting a little warmth here, and it is working on the log C4 image. So, but we'll get into that more in our balancing. I just want to show you that HDR and scatter, those are kind of like my first two nodes. So I'll reset that. Then I have a white balance node, which I do through my primaries and offset. Then I have my primaries node, which I do my lift, gamma, and gain. And this is like very broad, like I'm working with like global highlights, global shadows, global mids, but I like it here. These are two parallel nodes that work both off the node previous. And this is where you can add shapes, which we'll get into in a later video.
Nick has created an incredible, thriving career as a cinematographer. And I want to tell you why. It's not just because he can create cinematic images and he has such a strong understanding of post-production, but it's because he approaches his career as a businessman. He knows how to network properly, how to get in contact with producers and directors, and how to get hired again and again. And this is why we created the Cinepath Pro course. This is a business development course to help you as a cinematographer get full-time work. And the testimonies we've been getting out of this course already have been incredible. Nick is gonna take you through the whole process of what emails to write and how to network, all the way through to landing an agent and improving your cinematography. It's a holistic look, not just at how to shoot beautiful images, but how to have a thriving career and make more money as a true director of photography. And this is one of 7 courses that we now offer inside the Art of Documentary. This is our filmmaking academy that we've been running for over 5 years and has helped thousands of filmmakers take huge steps forward in their career, whether it's releasing their first documentary films, running a thriving business, or in the case of Cinepath Pro, becoming a full-time DP. And our doors are reopening again this September. Now, there is limited seating for these courses, so you'll want to get on our wait list to make sure that you can jump in when we open the doors. And for that first few days, we will be having a huge early bird sale, so that is the best time to get inside Art of Documentary. And when you join AOD, you get lifetime access. This is a community that you get to grow with. We even have a meetup fund to help pay for your food or drinks when you meet up with other Art of Documentary filmmakers. So if you're interested in joining, make sure to get on our wait list. And if you've enjoyed this video from Nick, it's one of almost 500 videos across all of our courses. There is no online academy or course that is more in depth than the Art of Documentary. We guarantee that. Now let's get back to color correction.
Color space transform is our next node, and I think this is the biggest one for people to realize here. So if I click on my effects, it opens up the color space transform. And like I said, I have the wide gamut 4, log C4, and then right now I'm output color spacing to DaVinci wide gamut and DaVinci intermediate. The reason why I'm sending my camera to this color space is that my 2383 LUT that I had a colorist made for me, it works off DYG and DaVinci intermediate. So when you put your camera in, which I'll show you in a second, change the input color space and the input gamma to your camera space, and that'll make this whole power grade work for you. Moving on, this is my cyan look thing that I use on some shots. I'm not going to show you that quite yet. I'm going to wait till we get to the look section of the color portion of this. Then I have my pre-hue versus hue that I use sometimes. This would all be considered in kind of secondaries. We're working here. Then I have my vignette. So this is my in and out. So I drew a shape. This is my in, and then I did in out serial node, and this is my out. And I think I have it target to take down a bit of gamma and a bit of gain here. So you can tweak that to your liking. Then this is my Rec 709 conversion. So this is my LUT that I had a colorist made. So you can see that's working off DaVinci wide gamut. And then it's injecting that 2383 print look. Then I have a post Rec 709 hue versus hue. I have a glow, which we're going to talk about more in our OFX plugin. So dealer's choice, you can Command D to on off that. And then I have 35 mil print grain that I think I have set at the global blend down to 70%. So a lot of these OFX plugins, you can, at the bottom, they'll have a global blend. So like right now I have it 70, but if you want more grain, you can pump that up to 1 and really feel it. A little trick I do for like how much you're feeling grain, export and check it to make sure you like it. But you can always tell in your luminance waveform monitor here, it's like you see how much more dense it gets. Like that usually tells me there's a lot of grain going on. So I'll peel that back to 70%, but as a one-click power grade, I'm already like, hey, this clip looks nice. So let's go to a clip that's not not RA log C4. So I'm going to come out here to this clip here. This was Venice footage. And if you're asking yourself, Nick, why is this shot upside down? We did this on a robot arm, and we had to rig it upside down. So I knew this footage was going to show up inverted. We can invert that back up. I'll show you in a second. So I'm going to apply my power grade here, and it actually looks pretty decent. So if you want to invert it, you can go to sizing, and under your input sizing, you can click flip and then do it on the horizontal and the vertical. Doesn't look that bad, but I know that this was shot in S-Log3 and S-Log3 Cine. So I'm going to change that here. And it might even look a bit underexposed, but we'll compensate for that. So I'm going to go down to Sony S-Gamut 3 and then Sony S-Log 3. So it's looking a little dark to me. I probably undercooked it on the day. So I'm going to go to my HDR palette and I'm going to go to gamma of S-log3, and then the color space of Sony S Gamut 3. So now within HDR, and the reason why I like this so much is your global is photometric, meaning it works in stops. So it's not like the gain where you take it down from 190 and that doesn't mean anything numbers wise. It's just a ratio. If I take this and I go, hey, let's take this to 0.5, that means I am saying boost it half a stop. So let's say I go like this and I'm saying 0.7. I'm saying boost it 0.7 a stop. So it works by photometric. So this is with the power grade applied. And to be honest, looks pretty good. Like, I like what it's doing. The skin might be a little red, but that also might be the red kickback off the gloves. And I might even say you go to your primaries, because I'm okay with where the highlights are sitting. I don't want to boost exposure. I might just want to go in our primaries and boost my gamma 2 points here. So gamma is kind of your mid tones. So I'm doing Shift D now to do the whole look on and off. And yeah, like I think that looks pretty sharp with one click and some minor tweaks in the HDR and the primary. So you can see that this power grade, it kind of applies to Venice footage, FX3, FX6. I got a mini clip here. So this is Alexa Mini from a documentary I was shooting. So let's apply this. And it looks too blue. I probably didn't consider all the blue that was going to be kicking off the water here, so I'll be able to suck that out. But once again, we go to our color space transform node, and Alexa Mini, Amira, and Mini LF are all wide gamut 3 RE log C 3. So then we'll go back to our HDR palette, and just like we did the last one, we're going to target it to log C3 and the color space to wide gamut 3, because that's what the camera is. Then we're going to boost it to, ooh, that's probably a stop under here. Good job. Okay, so that's sitting in a much better spot there. And then I would say that I am too blue. And I can kind of see that with most of our image sitting in the blue quadrant of our color wheel on the vector scope. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to move it the opposite direction. And I would say something like that feels better. And then I'm going to go to primaries and I'm going to boost my gain a bit. And then under, yeah, so I'd say that's a good balance there. So once again, this is kind of a 2383 look, and that's what it's like applied to the Mini. And then we'll do it for one more clip. I have FX3 footage here somewhere. So this is FX3 footage underneath. So let's find a still we like. I like this here. And then since I know that the Venice is same color space as the FX3, I'm going to grab a still here. So when you grab a still, you can go to your gallery and a still gets added because we've already done our color space transform to S-log3. So find a still we like, and then let's apply the footage. And we can take off the invert. There we go. And that looks pretty good. We'll do some tweaking here because we're underwater and it's too blue, but I'm liking what we're seeing with the contrast. So if I check my CST, S-log3, gamut 3, that's looking all good. I like what this is doing to me. So let's just do some small tweaks within the power grade to get it where we want it. So HDR is already targeted for S-log3 and gamut 3. So that means this will be aware of the log image we are inputting it. So once again, if I look at my vector scope, way too blue, I got to counteract that. So I'm going to drag it in the opposite section of blue, and I'm just kind of using my eye. That looks too greeny, so I'm going to swing it here, and that's looking better. So if you do Command D, that's kind of on off on that node. That's looking pretty cool. And then I would say by doing that, our blacks look a little too milky. So I'm just gonna probably, in our primaries, I'll probably go with curves, and I'm just gonna lower this point a bit. So we're gonna go through here, and I'm just gonna go like this. and then increase that. So we're just like increasing the contrast ever so slightly. And for now, I'll show you this, but we'll get this more in the shape section. But because we had an 18K coming in frame left, I knew we were going to have to do some window and shaping here. So I want the two sides of the frame to look equal. If you hit Shift H, you can preview what a node is doing. So right now I've drawn a gradient, and I'm going to want the left and right side to match. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to select for this, and I'm going to start dragging this down. And then I'm almost going to do the opposite on the other side to boost this side up so it doesn't feel as abyssy-like. So I'm going to do the opposite, and then I'm going to take this and I'm going to start boosting gamma, and then even just boom, pick that up a bit. So that's looking good. And then I drag this in a little further and come down here. So you can see by just adding these two shapes, you're balancing out the image pretty well so that the eye is going to the center of the image. But for a base power grade, as you can see, like in less than a minute, we're getting a pretty good color tone. Shadows are looking good. Nothing's peaking. Like, I like what I'm seeing here. So this power grade, I would test it out on your footage. You might like it, you might not, but it's at least something for you to work with that I've used on very high-end projects. Last thing I'd like to say about color grading and my node structure in general is that color grading is not a magic fix of your footage. I have never found that a colorist could take a terrible shot of mine and turn it into the best shot in a project. What I usually hear from colorists is like good in, good out, meaning if you have a great shot going in, you'll have a great shot coming out with a color grade. What I see with a lot of colorists on YouTube is they'll pick an already great looking shot out of the box and they'll do their 20-minute color grade on it. And they'll be like, look at how good this looks. And in my head, I'm like, well, it already looked good on the Rec 709. So what I use for coloring is I want to see what's working, what's not working. I want to use it as a feedback mechanism for me to know how I can improve in my shooting. Because in general, the more you can capture in camera, the better you're going to be. So color is not this magic fix it in post thing. It's something that can massage things in post, but doing this whole process allows you to see what you can get away with and can't get away with. For instance, in this FX3 shot, I knew that the talent's never going to really be moving from the center of the frame, so we can reshape things from the left side of frame to right side of frame rather than taking the time to put up an 8x8 of black to flag the 18K off when I knew that the water was just going to, or the light was going to spill everywhere. So knowing how to work these things, it makes you a better DP on set, but I haven't found that color is like this magic tool that completely transforms your footage. It's all in the name of squeezing the last 10 to 20% out, but knowing how to do that is a big part of the battle. So I would download the power grade, and I would even try out this power grade on your footage, even if for nothing more than seeing the flow of how the node should go in terms of like what should go before Rec 709 a LUT, what stuff you can do after. It's just a good mentality to be like, this is the process of how an image can be graded. Whether or not you do something different in the primaries or something different with the look or something different with glow and the grain, that's your personal taste. But this is a good workflow and good node structure for learning how to manipulate an image.